So, good evening, everyone. And again, I'm so glad to see you all back here at Mavin. And every time it's a new learning session, and we come up with new topics every day. Different speakers have, they come up with their expertise and it's very insightful. So today our session is titled From Command to Care, Redefining Leadership. Now, let me ask you a quick question. When you hear the word leadership, what's the first image or word that comes to your mind? Just think about it. If you've not thought about this earlier, think about this right now that when you hear the word leadership, what's the first image or word that comes to your mind? Most people often think of
Yes,
power, authority, position, or control. But today, we are going to shift that lens. We will explore how leadership is moving from a model of command to one of care. So, in the past, if let's take a moment to look back at what leadership used to mean. The old versus the new leadership paradigm. In the past, leadership was often about command and control, where leaders gave orders, teams followed, success was measured by obedience and efficiency. This worked well during the industrial age, an era that valued discipline, repetition, and uniformity. Factories needed compliance, not creativity. But today, the world has shifted. Our teams are diverse, spread across geographies, cultures, and generations, isn't it? It's very diverse. Today, we have not only work from office, we have hybrid models where you work these many days in office and these many days you can sit and work at home. And to some extent, it has shifted that people no longer, yes, there are people who work for just that paycheck, but there are organizations who have started to seek meaning, belonging, and purpose. And most importantly, innovation cannot thrive in an environment of fear. It grows only in an environment of trust. So, being that, you know, keeping that said, so leadership has to evolve and it is evolving. The new leadership paradigm is about care and connection. It's about leading with empathy. It's about inspiring instead of instructing. It's about empowering instead of enforcing. Think about it, no? The leaders who leave a mark on us are not the ones who scared us into action, but the ones who made us feel seen, valued, and supported. Let me repeat that statement. The leaders who leave a mark on us are not the ones who scared us into action, but the ones who made us feel seen, valued, and supported. I want everyone just to pause for a moment and reflect. Who's a leader in your life who made you feel valued? If you want, you can bring their picture in your mind or think about, the different instances or different, situations you have been, with them and what they taught you. That's the kind of leadership the world needs today. That's the kind of leadership. Now, let's break this down into three powerful shifts that every leader needs to make. First is the authority to authenticity. In the command model, leadership sounded like this: I am the boss, do as I say. But in the care model, it shifts to I walk the talk, I lead by example. Yes, authentic leaders admit their mistakes, share their stories, and connect as humans. They don't hide titles or positions. They lead from who they are. Now, close your eyes and think of a leader who you admire. Or what is that one quality that makes you respect them? What's that one quality that makes you respect them? Most of the time, it's not their designation or authority, it is their authenticity, that human quality that made you trust them. It might be empathy, it might be innovation, or it might be the way they share their stories. The second shift is moving from instructions to inspiration. Usually, in a command model, a leader will say, here's the task, do it by Friday. In a care model, a leader says, here why this work matters. Let's make it happen together. Because when leaders inspire, they light a spark of purpose. Let me walk you through a mini story. You may have heard the story when you may have heard the story of when President John F. Kennedy visited NASA. He saw a janitor sweeping the floor and asked, what are you doing? The janitor replied, I am helping putting a man on the moon. That is the power of inspiration. It connects even the smallest task to the big vision. In many organizations and companies, you find this that they work on a bigger goal or they work on the bigger mission or the vision which the company has. And that brings us to the third powerful shift, which is power over people to power with people. What happens in the command model? The leader stands at the top, giving directions or instructions downwards. But in a care model, the leader begins to build a circle of collaboration where every voice matters, where every employee or every leader in any sort of hierarchy is given voice or is given that permission to voice out their opinions or what matters to them. Great leaders today create spaces where people feel safe to contribute ideas, to take risks, and yes, even to fail. Let me ask you this. How many of you feel more protective when your manager trusts you rather than constantly checks on you? Think about these different questions which I'm throwing at you right now, and we'll come back to this discussion little later once I finish, what I have to share with you. And that's the difference. Care makes it transfer. That's the difference care makes. It transforms fear into freedom and pressure into passion. Whoever is watching this now, whoever is watching this later, you can maybe pause the video right here and think over it. Because sometimes we'll have to cope up or we'll have to keep up the pace to the way the world is changing at the moment. Because recently, when I'm talking about this leadership, recently I came across through this a young champ, maybe what, 16 years, 15 years old. uh he is so passionate about AI, and recently he's spoken this India Today's conclave, which that video came up in my YouTube search. And I was so amazed to the kind of content he was sharing, the way he was presenting that presentation, which almost lasted for almost close to 17 minutes. It's not, as I say every time, that leadership is not titles. Leadership is about, the kind of the way you talk. All these small things matters a lot. It's not just about having titles, but it's about taking control over your situation. Now, let's understand how can we, as leaders, how can we actually practice carrying leadership. First is your active listening. It's not just about listening to respond or listening to react, but it's about listening to understand not just words what you hear, but to listen to their emotions. What's important to you about this, or again when you are having a conversation or when you're listening to a conversation, once that conversation is done, asking them what's important to you about this, or asking them why does this matter a lot to you. And that brings us to empathy in action, showing you care by small gestures, by rephrasing what they said and asking them what I understood is right? Appreciating their efforts, or once in a while checking on them. Many a times today, many of us don't have the time to do that. Or even if you do, it is once in a while. And you know, then feedback with compassion, or we call it as constructive feedback. But let's give that feedback with compassion. Usually in command model, it is like you have failed doing it. You doing this particular task. In care model, we sit and understand as a team as to what went wrong, and here is that how we can improve this together, and building that psychological safety, encouraging people to speak up without fear. Because today, even if we make a mistake, many of us are very reluctant to come and open up, because either we get fired out of a job, or some negative impact happens. But in today's age, leaders are setting the tone by saying it's okay to fail, and let's learn it. Like, think of a recent situation where someone cared for you in a leadership role. What did they do that you feel supported? You might have instances, right? Just, hold on to that instances. Now let's understand, let's take an example of two managers. Manager A is constantly giving you orders, criticizing and controlling you. Manager B listens, supports, and encourages you. Constantly asking, is there any issue, or keeping on checking on you whether you need support, or in every state they check on you. Now the question is, who will have higher team loyalty, lower turnover, and more motivation? Yes, definitely it'll be the manager B. But here's the challenge. Manager A may get quick results. Manager B builds sustainable success. As I said earlier, leadership is not just about today, it's about tomorrow. Isn't it? The first manager, if you look at it, he was strict, he was critical, he was in every way, he had his own way of doing things. But if you take up leadership today, it's more of collaboration, more of empathy, more of constructive feedback. It's more of solution focused. Even the way we have conversation has changed. In many places, the way we have conversations have changed. People are more, leaders are more collaborative. You know, Earlier it used to be that I say you follow kind of a system it was. But today, to some level or to some extent, that change has started happening. Yeah. So, all, no, always remember this, that leadership is not about the position you hold, it's about the impact you create. We are moving from a world where leaders commanded obedience to a world where leaders inspire trust. But leadership is no longer about being in charge of people, it's about taking care of people who's in charge. So, my challenge to you is this week practice one act of caring leadership, listen deeper, give meaningful feedback, or simply acknowledge someone's effort. Small acts of care can create big waves of change. We are building a world where leadership is rooted in care. Anyone would like to share anything right now? Any perspective, anything you would like to share?
Yeah, namaste.
Yes, Prem sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, as you were sharing, some thoughts came to my mind. I find a leader always, most often does not say to me or the ones who are following him, you. He says we. It becomes a collective, like we have one mission. So I, I adopted that. I felt that I had a better reach to the audience or to the troop which I was supposed to lead. And I find that today, when I'm following leadership modalities, uh, that's a leadership search and development. This comes very inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rajbin, would you like to share something?
I think it depends which leadership to use. Like for my students, I use the command. If they don't listen, I use the command because you tell a person once, twice, and third time, you can they cannot understand. You have to use the command. But uh, for co-workers and for my students online, I use command leadership style. But for when I train outside, I train laughter wellness outside. I do the care care style of leadership. But sometimes over here in the home front, I have to use the command leadership to my caregiver's needs. Because when my caregiver is on off day, my caregiver's needs doesn't listen sometimes. So I have to use the command leadership. So leadership styles, it varies, depends on the mood of the person, depends on how uh, the parents, the person carries himself or herself in front of you. Thank you.
No, dear. Shabana ma'am, would you like to share something?
Means I would agree with you. I think most of us throughout our life are shaped by like what kind of people and leaders we meet. So totally agree. Like I think we come across both kind of leaders, those who, deal things with command as well as those who deal with care. But of course, we build relationship over time with those to whom we can connect and to whom, you know, uh, so yeah, it's pretty sometimes obvious, right? I think Minaji has also written, please share the YouTube link.
Yes, I've shared it on the chat window.
Okay, sure. So
I've
I'll
shared
put
it
that,
chat
add
window.
to
Even
that.
I'll share it in our community group also so that people can go back and watch if needed.
Awesome. That's great.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that being said, I think it's about, you know, uh, it's not expecting a change to happen, but rather, we start being that change. So that is what I wanted to encourage everyone here who's joined us live with us today. I was going to watch this video later. This is something I wanted to encourage everyone to think or ponder over it, that let's we start becoming the change makers. Let it start from us, or let it start from me. And that's how it is. Because as said little earlier, that it's not about having titles or anything, but it's more towards what kind of change we want to bring in, isn't it? It's about the change which we want to create and see where it's taking us, but of taking care of people who's in charge with us. It's not just about, we just keep doing what we do. This is one thing I wanted all of you to leave with is, what is that one spark which we want to create to bring that change? This is something I would all leave you all, because I think storytelling is another segment where we all love to hear stories, but then sometimes that stories can spark that, or ignite that spark for change. We all love stories, and let's tell this world a different story with care model of leadership, as we collaborate, as we innovate in different situations with different people, and leading with empathy or leading with trust. So this is what I would like to leave you all with. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shabana ma'am.
Thank you so much, Darshini. Thank you, everyone. It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you, everyone, again tomorrow.